War is the School of Revolution. Giuseppe Mazzini, Duties of Man, 1860.
The American Civil War was a crucible for the Irish diaspora. Over 150,000 Irish immigrants fought in the conflict, many of them in the Union Army. For these soldiers, the war was not just about preserving the United States. It was about gaining the skills and experience needed to fight for Ireland's freedom. Leaders like Thomas Francis Maher, who commanded the Irish Brigade, saw the Civil War as a training ground for future rebellions against British rule. The Irish Brigade became legendary for its bravery, earning respect and admiration on both sides of the conflict. But their sacrifices were not without controversy. Some Irish Americans questioned why they should fight for a country that often treated them as second-class citizens. Others saw the war as an opportunity to prove their loyalty to America, hoping that their service would translate into political support for Irish independence. This tension reflected the complex identity of the Irish diaspora, torn between their new home and their old one.
The Civil War was a defining moment for Irish Americans. It forced them to confront what it meant to be both Irish and American. David T. Gleason, The Green and the Grey, 2013.
For many, the answers lay in using their newfound status as war heroes to advance the cause of Irish nationalism. Organisations like the Fenian Brotherhood capitalised on this momentum, recruiting veterans to their ranks and planning bold actions against British rule. The Civil War also highlighted the power of the Irish diaspora as a political force. Irish American leaders used their influence to lobby the US government, urging it to support Irish independence. This marked the beginning of a long tradition of Irish American political activism, which would play a crucial role in later movements. But the war also exposed divisions within the diaspora. While many Irish Americans supported the Union, others sympathized with the Confederacy, seeing parallels between the South's struggle for autonomy and Ireland's fight against British rule. These divisions did not weaken the diaspora's commitment to Irish nationalism. If anything, they underscored the diversity of the Irish experience abroad. The Civil War had given the diaspora a taste of what was possible when they united behind a common cause. It also demonstrated the importance of military experience, a lesson that would shape future rebellions in Ireland. As historian Kirby Miller notes, the Civil War was a proving ground for the Irish diaspora, a test of their resolve and their ability to fight for freedom. The war ended in 1865, but its impact on the Irish diaspora was just beginning. The veterans of the Irish Brigade returned home with a new sense of purpose, ready to apply what they had learned to the fight for Irish independence. Their story would continue in the streets of Dublin and the fields of Ireland, where the lessons of the Civil War would be put to the ultimate test.
The Irish Brigade fought not just for America, but for Ireland's future. Timothy Egan, The Immortal Irishman, 2016.
One of the most immediate takeaways from the American Civil War for Irish soldiers was battlefield experience. Many of these men had arrived in America as poor immigrants with little to no military training. But by 1865 they had fought in some of the most significant battles of the war, including Antietam, Fredericksburg and Gettysburg. They learned firsthand the importance of discipline, strategic planning, and leadership in combat. The Irish soldiers saw how modern warfare had evolved, especially with the use of rifled muskets, artillery, and trench warfare. The American Civil War introduced new military tactics such as coordinated infantry assaults, defensive fortifications, and cavalry reconnaissance, all of which would later influence Irish revolutionary strategies. Veterans understood the importance of guerrilla tactics, supply chain management, and the role of morale in sustaining a fight against a larger enemy. Another key lesson learned was the power of organised military units. The Irish Brigade, led by commanders such as Thomas Francis Meagher, proved that Irish troops could be disciplined and effective on the battlefield. Their ability to fight cohesively despite heavy casualties reinforced the idea that well-trained and well-led Irish forces could hold their own against formidable opponents. This experience was invaluable when these veterans became involved in the Irish nationalist movement. Many returned to Ireland or remained active in Irish-American organisations, helping to train and organise future generations of Irish fighters. The concept of forming a structured revolutionary force, rather than relying on spontaneous uprisings, took root among Irish nationalists. The American Civil War also taught the Irish about the importance of strong leadership. Leaders like Meagher inspired loyalty and determination among their men, even in the face of overwhelming odds. This experience underscored the need for charismatic and capable leadership in any struggle for Irish independence. The veterans of the Civil War brought this lesson back with them, emphasising the importance of clear leadership within the Irish nationalist movement. Additionally, the war had reinforced their sense of Irish nationalism. Many Irish soldiers in the Union Army saw their participation as a way to prove that the Irish were worthy of respect and equality. They believed that by fighting for the Union, they were also demonstrating their capability to lead their own struggle for Irish freedom. This idea became deeply ingrained in their worldview, fueling their commitment to Irish independence upon their return home. Perhaps the most direct application of the Civil War's lessons came in the form of the Fenian Brotherhood, a revolutionary organisation founded by Irish nationalists in the United States. Many Civil War veterans joined the Fenians, seeing it as the best vehicle to channel their military experience into the cause of Irish independence. In 1867, the Fenians launched a rebellion in Ireland, hoping to strike a decisive blow against British rule, though the uprising ultimately failed due to poor coordination, lack of weapons, and insufficient public support. It demonstrated that the lessons of the Civil War had been absorbed. The Fenians attempted to apply military discipline, use urban and rural warfare tactics, and organize in secret, all methods inspired by their experiences in America. While the 1867 uprising did not succeed, its lessons would be carried forward into later Irish revolutionary efforts. Many of the principles learned during the Civil War, especially the effectiveness of small, mobile fighting units and guerrilla tactics, would later influence the Irish Republican Army, the IRA, during the War of Independence from 1919 to 1921. Michael Collins, one of the key figures in the War of Independence, understood that direct, large-scale engagements with British forces were impractical. Instead, the IRA employed hit-and-run tactics, ambushes, and sabotage, strategies that had proven effective during the American Civil War when used by smaller, more agile forces against larger armies. The success of these methods in securing Irish independence in 1922 can, in part, be traced back to the military lessons learned by Irish soldiers in the Civil War. Another critical legacy of the Civil War was the strengthening of Irish-American political and financial support for Irish independence. Having fought and died for America, Irish veterans expected support for their own struggle. Irish-American communities, many of whom had deep connections to the Civil War, became some of the most vocal supporters of Irish nationalism. The Fenian Brotherhood and later organisations like Clan Gael helped funnel money, weapons, and political advocacy from America to Ireland. Without this support, movements like the Easter Rising of 1916 and the War of Independence might not have had the resources necessary to sustain their efforts. The impact of the American Civil War on the Irish did not end in 1865. The war provided Irish soldiers with invaluable military experience, leadership skills, and a renewed sense of national identity. They brought these lessons back to Ireland, where they helped shape the course of the Irish struggle for independence. From the failed Fenian Rising of 1867 to the successful guerrilla campaign of the IRA in the early 20th century, the strategic and tactical knowledge gained from the American Civil War played a crucial role. Moreover, the strong transatlantic connections between Irish America and Ireland ensured that support for the cause remained steadfast. Ultimately, the Civil War veterans who fought on American soil carried the spirit of battle back to Ireland, helping to shape the nation's path to independence.